they came from Asia, if they came from Africa, if they came from South America, everybody's being affected. But disproportionately, Asian people, Black people are being affected right now. And brown people are being affected right now. So any person of color, you have a little bit of color in your skin, you're being targeted right now. Is that right? You said yes. Is that right to be targeted?
No.
Oh, okay. But 2025, this is about organizing. And so, we already know we might have a little bit of uncomfortability since we've never been to the State House before. We maybe never talked to an elected official before because we like, we've seen those people. We see them and they just seem like really important people, and they're really not. People see me every day, and most people don't even know that I'm elected. But the most valuable people out here are people like yourselves. And with 2025 being about organizing, if I see a group like this come to me with a concern, I get nervous. Now, raise your hand if you recently came to the State House and came to sit in on the testimonies for the bills. You were there too. Raise your hand. So these brave people, they came, and they didn't just come by themselves. It was hundreds of people that showed up. And what happened with these committee hearings? They stopped. Because people showed up. There was no arguing, there was no yelling. People came, sat down, and the committee hearings stopped. You are so valuable. 2025 is about organizing. It took one bit of information to know that these bills are coming and you need folks to show up. Now you're probably saying like, well, I got things to do, I got friends to see, classes to study for, because I know my parents are expecting me to get A's in these classes. Is that what you guys are thinking? If I don't get A's, it's gonna be a problem. What are some excuses that we may use on why we don't show up for stuff? You can just throw out an answer. Too inconvenient. Too time consuming. Take time off from work. Parking is hard. So we got all these different excuses, you know, no matter if it's studying for school, you know, it's having to take time off from work or school, it's inconvenient. But imagine if we let those excuses keep us from democracy. Imagine if those hundreds of people didn't sit in on a public safety committee. What would have happened to House Bill 1? It would have passed. 2025 is about organizing. So you can't come to the committee here because you have to go to work and your job does not give you the time off. I understand. What you can do is email and call all of these offices. There's room for everybody in this space. And I remember telling people, I said, for those who can come, come. For those who cannot come, then I need you to call and email and shame those government officials. You ever had to shame somebody? Anybody in here had to shame somebody? Or maybe I'm just the only one who's shaming people. Anybody, you ever had to shame somebody? How did you have to shame somebody? Yes. You make people acknowledge that what they were seeing was wrong. And that is not okay. We have a lot of people at the State House that we have to shame. Can you guys guess how many people signed on to a bill to say it was legal to legalize discrimination on if people can own a home or own a business? Can you guess how many people signed on to this bill? How many people we're gonna have to shame? Now, you've been here, let somebody else answer the question. So, besides the front row right here, can anybody guess how many people signed on to this bill, House Bill 1? 82. Now there's only 99 members in the State House.
I was thinking like 2/3.
2/3?
Yeah.
Okay.
50 to 60.
50 to 60. Okay, so it's 57. So there are 57 people who are bold enough that we need to shame. These are people who said that because of where you come from, but you can't control where you come from. Because of where you come from, we wanna legalize discrimination. Has anybody ever told you, because of what car you drive, you can't park your car here? Has anybody ever told you that?
Not here.
Not here. Has anybody ever told you, because of what high school you go to, we don't want you to come play against our team? But we are legalizing discrimination and racism based off of your country of origin. You cannot control what country of origin you are from. It's a lot of things you can control. You can control if your hair is long, if your hair is short. You can control what colors your clothes are, but you can't control your country of origin. You can't even control who your parents are. You just who they are. But now we're trying to legalize this racism and put it in the books in the state of Ohio. I would have never thought that running for state rep, that I would be in a place of feeling the need to have to organize. The need to come 2.5 hours away from my home of Cleveland to come talk to anybody about these anti-immigrant bills. But one thing we realize is that if people do it to some, eventually it will touch all. And so what we have to do within our circles of friends, because we're gonna go other places outside of here, and we're gonna have friends who are gonna say, why are we concerned about House Bill 1? Has anybody asked you that? Like, why are you concerned about these heinous bills? So what are your friends saying to you when you talk about these bills, these anti-immigrant bills? This is somebody else besides the front row. So if you're telling your friend there's a bill that they're trying to pass that's gonna legalize that some of our family members will not be able to own a business, will not be able to own a home because of their country of origin, what are your friends telling you as you're talking to them about that?
They probably don't know about the bill in the first place.
They probably don't know about the bill. So you're not even talking to your friends about it? Okay, so we gonna have to take a step back. Okay. So we're here, we're organizing, we're talking about this, but I guess I missed the first step. You are gonna have to tell people about this bad bill. So what I do need from everybody, after you leave here today, I need you to tell 5 people that are not in this room and that do not live in a house with you. Okay? 5 people. You're gonna tell them about House Bill 1 and Senate Bill 288, which is the same bill. One is in the Senate, one is in the House. There is a terrible bill that would discriminate against people based off of their country of origin. And that may or may affect me or those around me that I love. What are your thoughts on the bill? Or better yet, I need your support against the bill. There is value in numbers. Just like we had hundreds of people that came and sat during the committee hearing before, we know that we already have good foot soldiers that will show up, but we need even more. So this is where you telling 5 other people that are not in this room and that do not live in your home about House Bill 1, because 2025 is about organizing. And so as much as we know about how bad House Bill 1 is, there's other bills that are even worse. There's another bill that was introduced that people will check your immigration status when you go to the hospital. Now we all have to go to the hospital. Who recently had a physical this year? Imagine getting your physical, because you probably have to get one for work, you have to get one for school, or you're just trying to be a good person to your body and you wanna go to the doctor. And someone asks you about your immigration status. They ask you to pull out your birth certificate. They ask you to see your passport. They ask to pull out your information. And this is state law, not federal. This is what's happening here in Ohio. Did you continue on with that? Also, also when it comes to fundings of our communities. If communities don't comply with these crazy, heinous laws, they will lose their local government fund, which helps pay for the roads and the bridges. So they'll be making mayors and city council people decide, do we wanna do right by the folks that live in our community? Or do we wanna still receive money for our roads and bridges? 2025 is about organizing. Everyone will be touched by this. Do not let us think that it's only certain people that will be affected. The one thing my dad always reminds me of is that when he moved here for college, he said he felt like everyone was given an opportunity to be successful. Now, I don't know everyone's story of how they decided to come here today, but I definitely will tell you mine. My dad came here for college and finished college, and he kind of said he always knew in the back of his mind he didn't want to go back home. And finished college, and he was trying to figure out how he stayed here legally. He joined the military because he couldn't find a job that would allow him to have a visa. And my dad did 30 years in the military, in the Air Force, with a visa, because that's one way to be able to stay here in the country. And he has served his country, basically almost risked his life multiple times, fighting for a country that he wasn't even a citizen of, because that's how much he loved his country. Most people could never understand to make that type of sacrifice to your family and also to yourself. But we have so many people that that's their story of why they're here. We have people who own businesses within our community, who are employing people, giving people jobs. We have people who are in the science field who are making wonderful discoveries and making huge gains for the medical community, but they're choosing to live here, which is such a gift to our whole country. So as we are having these conversations and we're organizing, and you talk to your friend whose family has been super white, who don't understand the plight of what's happening with immigrants and why they're doing all this type of stuff, just explain to them what this world would look like if we had no immigrants that came here. Vaccines, gone. AI that we all love, gone. A lot of conveniences that we have within our country will be gone. 2025 is about organizing. And so when I say I need you to tell 5 friends, it's because if you do not tell people what your fight is, people won't be able to fight, stand up for you. They're gonna fight against you. And so this is the time, as you guys are getting ready to go back to school. Who's starting school like in the next week? If I already started school. Are you in school over there? You're in school? You already started school? Okay. So as we getting ready to go back to school, we're gonna come across a lot of folks who have been living their best life. And I need you to start this school year off fresh, letting them know that the state is trying to legalize discrimination. And they are trying to make it okay for people to have to close down their business, for people to have to lose their home, for people to not be able to receive medical service, for the government not to be able to pay their roads and their bridges or pay for police for the sake of being decent in this world. My dad, going back to the story of my dad, 30 years in the military, retired, and he was a pilot while he was serving, and eventually went into working for Continental for some years before they shut down, and has done all of this while serving our country with pride. And now we're telling people that with everything that you do, that is not good enough. The thing is so interesting, and we have to tell our story. Most people will never understand what it takes to get citizenship. my dad had to entertain me one day after he got his citizenship, and he was like, Juanita, you wouldn't be able to pass this test if you tried. And so I looked at the test, I got a good majority of the questions wrong. And so, for those that have to go through the process, for those who never have to go through the process, you would never understand the privilege it is to not have to go through that. But you know how dedicated someone is when you decide to go through the process of getting naturalized as a citizen? I feel like I'm speaking to the choir right now. I'm speaking to the choir, but you have to go tell other people that. You have to go tell people that. How many of us have went to our friends and talked to them about that? Anybody talk to a friend? You did? What was their response?
She like didn't know about it at all, and she was like really surprised it was happening. And especially like I didn't think like I think especially like her herself, but she still has like a Chinese like
How long has she been here? She's been here since birth?
No, she's been here. I think she was born in China, but she's probably been here like she was like 3 years.
So my dad took my dad 21 years before he got his citizenship. 21. Working, saving money, putting the child through school. He did everything to put me first, and that's what parents do because they love you. So regardless of what was going on, you put your family first, put your children first, and we see a lot of that within our own families. How many of us seen our own parents sacrifice for us? If your parents sacrifice for you, put your hand up. It should be every kid in here. That was a trick question. And so 21 years, serving in the military, buying a home. By that time, my dad had bought 3 homes. Not ever having any concerns, having a clean record. But part of those years, Nigeria was one of the adversary countries. And so when people say like, oh, that's a them problem, until the countries on that list change. 2025 is about organizing. We have to talk to people outside of our bubble. We're here today in this wonderful setting, but we cannot stop here. So the 5 people that you talk to, let that be your warm-up team of people that you talk to about this. But let's not stop at 5. And let's not stop at using social media. Let's figure out a way to get you at the State House. Let's figure out a way where you got them all run for office. Because we could not be in a place where things are happening to you and you're not part of the change. Representation also needs to not just fight and stand up for you, but it needs to look like you. Who in here ever thought about running for office? I see one. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. There's nothing wrong with it. And so when we want to make change, we have to change who's in the room. Imagine if even one of you here in this room decided to run for office. Now, if she decided to run for office, would you guys help her out if she ran for office?
Yes.
You have all this support here. And so not only are we fighting against these heinous bills that would not allow us to own homes and businesses, we also have to organize in the sense of who are we gonna be running next for office? Who in this room are we gonna be running for office? Is it for school board? Because now they're gonna be banning certain types of books where it's not gonna be able to tell your story. Is it gonna be for the local county sheriffs? Because now the county sheriff is gonna be used to help ISIS to help get access to you. Or are you gonna be running for mayor? Are you gonna be running for city council? What are you gonna do? So my canary call to you today is that 2025 is about organizing, but what we have to do will not just stop this year. It will continue on even after these bills get stopped by your efforts. But the real difference is getting you in the room and getting you elected. And if you don't wanna run, help someone else run. Help somebody else raise money. help somebody else knock doors. Because the reason why some things are happening, because we do not have enough people who are the product of immigrants in these seats. Our stories are different. Our viewpoints are different. It was interesting because I remember Vivek was talking about how the kids of immigrants is just different. He was like, you know, they don't have TVs in their home. And when he was saying, I was like, oh, that's my story. We didn't grow up with a TV here in our house because I had to read. That was my story. And so it's different when you have parents who come from another country and they come here. But we need you in office. We need you working hard. And if you don't want to run for office, to come up with the technology to help somebody else run for office. Good things. I have a couple of these packets left.